Hey guys, this is JSer. How's everything going? As you already know, that I don't have too much time before my final on-site interview. In this video, I'm going to try another system design problem, which is pretty, I think, familiar to you. It's about design an Instagram, focusing on the front end. Okay, I'll write it down here. It's about the front end. Cool. So let's begin. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And let's just clarify some background of the Instagram first, okay? If I didn't make something right, please pick it out, and I will refine it. So the first one is background. I think that Instagram is a place that people could upload their photos or videos and share to other people, and there will be relationship between the users will be follow and is it follow or friends? I think it'd be friends, right? Okay, friends. Follow. Oh, I suppose it's friends. Okay, and about this front web application, I'd say it should be a light version of native app, and I think it should be, yeah. I think we should persuade people to download native app somewhere, right? It should not be a fully functional app. Well, this is only my assumption, but I think it should be something like this, and yeah, and about SEO problem, I think SPA will be good enough, right? Because only the profile page is worthy of being crawled, so that could be easily done, and SPA could give us fully control about all the transitions, all the front end design. If we use some server-side rendering, we need to handle that. And if you're using a mature solution like Next.js, it was just it was forbidden us to do the transitions anything as freely as we want. So I think SPA will be good, and I think we don't need to do the full desktop version. So it should be wide version, partially responsive. I mean mobile first. I think for people to upload the photos, I think your desktop they cannot upload, right? And so I think we should focus on the mobile design and adapt it a little to the desktop. So we don't need the full responsive view of the desktop. Only wide version. I think this should be what mobile version only, mobile only, partial adaptive to desktop. Oh, cool. So this is the background, I think. And should we do PWA? Good if we have time. Yeah. So this is background. In the following explanation, I would focus on the minimum viable product, which is about timeline and detailed page, right? Okay. So this is our functional requirement, the timeline of post and the detail page of post. So this is the functional, and there will be another goal. Another goal is a good UX. By good UX, I mean it must be speedy and smooth. Well, this could be a general goal for any web applications. Yeah, for the Instagram, we should achieve these goals, and of course there will be special care on the photos, right? Yes, this is our goal of how we would implement it. Okay. Next one is general picture. Well, the general flow, data flow, I'll cover it first with data flow, and then the front end component, and then API. Okay, for the data part, I would say this is a user. User will access our service, and first you will come out to our server, which serves the HTML, and it will go to the load balancer. Oh, wait a minute. Oh shit. Oh god. This is not good. Okay, I'm sorry. It should be this. This load balancer. And then it will go to our services. It will be multiple services about different APIs. Okay, for the load balancers, we need to actually do the API in same origin. We don't want. Personally, I don't like the cross origin, so there will be. I think there will be a Nginx layer here. Is I think this is good enough, right? We could do reverse proxy here, but load balancer to the. Oh, okay. Here, I think I put a Nginx here. And then go to the services, right, which serve the HTML. Well, do you use Node.js here? I think there should be, oh yeah, there should be a server side for front-end engineers that we can control by ourselves. Okay, so this is it. And they were, okay. Okay, this is services. This, okay, I'm sorry. This is the HTML. Okay, and then there will be the, okay, wait a minute. So this is for the request of the HTML. There will be another one if you access the HTML. After the HTML, users will access the static resources, so it will go to the CDN. Oh, this chart is miserable. Okay. So for here, it should be HTML and API, right? And here should be static. And okay, there should be HTML services. There were two groups. One is API services. It could be it could be in any language, and the other one is Node.js. Okay. And these serve the HTML. This serve the API. Okay, this is API. This is HTML, and this is the CDN. Cool. So this is a general data flow of our service, which is actually pretty simple. And another one is about the front end, how we will structurize our front end component. Well, I could just list up some of the categories. The first one, I think there should be an app entry. Which has the entry logic, the tracking, the everything, right? And the other one is screens. Maybe not. Okay, I'll group the. This should be like a full functional feature. Is a flow about several screens, like a setting flow, the register flow, anything post flow, something like that. So flow actually is a bunch of screens, right? And for each screen, it's actually a bunch of component. Okay. And the other one, outside the flow, there should be some comments. This should be common component, layout, and now there's some globals, right? Like dialog or something. Okay, so this is the front-end component categories. And about the API, as the MVP says, I think we need two APIs. The first one is the list timeline API, and then post detail, right? Cool. So this is our general picture. Okay, the next thing I want to talk about is how we'll what is the key challenges. Wow. I think the first one is we need to make it speedy, right? Okay, for the speedy part, to make things speedy, I think we should try to do lazy load as we can. Of course, there will be some best practice. Okay, best practice like cache, the CDN, or we do explain here. Everything. I think the challenge part for frontend is how to we manage the bundles, right? The static bundles to lazy load. Yeah, so this is our my thought on this. I think the first is that the whole structure, as I explained here, is that the app is full of flows, right? I'll say this is a flow. And in that flow, there actually will be a bunch of screens. Something like this, right? And in this screen, there will be actually components. Something like this. So this is app, and this is flow. This is screen. This is component. So our naive solution would be bundle them together, well, right? It would be a huge bundle, and it would cost much time to download, and it's waste of resources because the users might not even touch the screens we have bundled, right? So we could lazy load as much as possible. Here's the extreme solution: is that lazy load everything. So before we just bundle everything together, and now we could only bundle. Don't bundle anything. We just load set the app, the outside as a loader, and it will load the flow based on the path, right? So this is a flow 1. This will be flow 2. Now it will be loaded after the app is loaded and determine which flow to load, and then based on the path again, the specific screen will be loaded, right? So first app, maybe next one is this flow, and then this this screen. I suppose this is this screen, and if this screen is very long, actually we could load only the component above the fold, right? So we lazy load the component, so everything we could lazy load on different layers: the flow layer, the screen layer, the component layer, right? Right. So if we lazy load everything, it will be good. The bundle will be very small, but actually it's not that good. Right? You see that the user will it will cost more time to show user something. We load the app, we'll have a white screen, and then determine the flow, load another loading screen, and then determine the screen. It's white screen again. So we need to choose a balance between commonly used and not, and the not. Like settings, I think few people access that, right? So we could totally lazy load that, and then for the commonly used like timeline or detail, right? We should bundle that together. So that's actually a balance about flow, the most used flow, and the most access screens, right? So we determine it based on the statics. Based on the statics. With the prefetch, right? Yeah. So this is our approach to make it speedy. We lazy load everything, right? But choose a balance. Yeah, with the prefetch. Like the user lands on the screen A, we might know that from our statistics, the users, like most of the users, will go to the screen B. So we preload it. Okay. So bundle the commonly used and don't bundle the less used. So this is our approach to make it speedy. On cache or okay, there will be something else like compress, etc. Okay. So our next goal is to make it smooth. So personally, I'd like to separate the smoothness and the speedy. Speed is about making things fast, and the smoothness is making user feel comfortable. Like I did some, I have once checked the mobile version, a web version of Twitter, and the native app of Twitter. I recorded video and found that actually for the initial one with nothing cached, the native app actually run the same speed as the web app. So web app is not worse than the native app in speed, right? In aspect of speed, but actually native app is much better because it's smoother than the web app, especially when you go back. Oh, I'll explain it here. About smoothness, from my personal experience, I categorized into several parts, several aspects. One, it should be instant go forward. I mean, when users try to go to next screen, that must be fast. That must be smooth. So going to come into our lazy load approach here. If you bundle them everything together, it totally gonna save the world, right? It's instant because we have nothing to load. But of course, there's still something we can improve. That's a different topic. Okay, for the here instant go forward, I would say loads the resources fast and show a user something. So how can we load the resource fast? As here, we already made it speedy by lazy load, and we prefetched it, so it's gonna be pretty fast. But there will be still some lags, right? The first one is about the API data. We are rendering next screen, but data is not there. We have to wait API, right? We call the detail API. So what we can do? I think this should be solved by skeleton screen. I mean, I think we see these kind of approaches often in the on the internet. Is that so? Say like people are landing on screen A, then he wants to go to screen B. We've already fetched it, right? We've already prefetched these resources, and when the user taps, and we have to initialize the screen and fetch the API. But when the API before the API response is received, we need to show something, right? Show something with skeleton screen or loading indicator. So that means, like for this screen, okay, we actually will component. Actually, we will show it in a dummy version without the actual logic. Like say, how can I interpret this? Okay. Without data, it's like some geometry shapes, like something like this, and we serve it, right? Something like this, without any logic, and then when the data comes, I'll render it. So that will serve the user enough, give the users hint about what he will see next. So it's I'll try to use skeleton screen. Loading indicator will be a easiest approach, and it's not that cool. And the skeleton screen might be good, but about skeleton screen, there will be two approaches, I think. The first one is separate component, totally different one. Okay, I make it left align. Well, it's very easy to understand, and if we do something like this, we could lazy load. We could actually lazy load the full version, or if you use this, we actually need a wrapper component, right, to keep a flag of whether it is a skeleton or the full version. But this gives us a problem that if we are going to implement the similar UI, like the geometry shapes, I think it's gonna cost us some extra effort, right? So what I'm proposing is that another one is about the same logic with the dummy data. So for the specific part, when the data is not there, we render some geometry shapes. So each will be data field level lazy load, I think, something like this, right? The data is not coming, so we show show a square here. It's not say the total screen is about is a shape, and then when it comes, I'll render another component. It's about say, oh, I'll use the same component, but data is not coming. I render the dummy the shape here, and progressively. So what's the benefit of this is actually I can pre-populate how to say am I using the same right word? Populate data from least API, right? So we're not going to like a page here, the timeline page to the detail page. The timeline is already gives us some basic information about the post, right? So we can use that as the basic dummy data and send it to the user. So the user will see, when he taps, will see the data directly on the screen. So it will be instant. So it will be cool. I think we can use the shapes for the other part, for about like the commands or something. So this is our approach to make it instant, instant go forward with a skeleton approach. Okay, the next one is instant go back. Well, this is actually a much more challenging part. So what I'm proposing is that we have done this for 3 years. We are going to support instant go back with page stack. So what we are going to do is actually, okay, allow me to, I will say this is a screen. The usual approach to the router would be like when the history changes, we will replace the DOM, right, with a new page. When it go back, we will replace it with a previous DOM, screen A. Okay, it will become a screen B, right? But when we returning to the previous screen, it actually costs us some time. One, if you do it naively, we would fetch the. Okay, the first one is we could it cause a lag, right? Another lag. So and the scroll position is not capped. It's a usual problem for web front SPAs. The naive solution for this will be naive one. Simple one would be improvement. Okay, not page stack. Instant go back. The simple improvement would be with what? With cache, right? With cache data or API. Cache state, I think. Cache state or API. So when we go back to the previous page, we don't need to fetch the API again. We use the directly data and then render it. But still, this still costs time for long pages because of the DOM for DOM, right? For DOM reconstruction, and still flickering, janky. It's about the vertical scrolling will be supported, I think, but for the horizontal free scroll position and the pure UI state like a pop-up thing, show display or show or display. Well, it's just difficult, right? Yeah, it's just difficult. And about like so suppose it's a crossal and everything, we need to keep that. It's difficult. So I would say we try to do it with a page stack, which we're doing it for 3 years and it works pretty great. A page stack, what does it mean is that we'll create a stack to hold the pages. Actually, okay. Suppose we are going to screen A. Now we're going to screen B. Rather than we destructuring the screen A, we will just put the screen B above the page screen A and cover it. So we got screen B. If there's another screen, we will cover it with a screen C. Right? So when users go back, we just pop the topmost screens and we just get the screen B instantly with everything kept. The DOM, the scroll positions, the UI state, the data state, the animation, everything is kept. So this will be instant. This solution will beat everything else, I think. Recently, I see a few approaches with a similar idea. One is on the Google Tag Manager, the desktop version. You have this beautiful page stack approach, and another one is a new Facebook. I happened to check it and I find that we have the same idea, and they just didn't clear the DOM. I don't think you have the same name with page stack, but page stack to me it's easy to understand. So this is the approach of page stack. So what's the benefit of this one is that it's just beats any other solution. Well, everything has two swords. Every blade has two swords. The trade-off for this one is actually problems. Okay. I say benefits. Benefits is instant go back, and as you have checked, we have when the screen B is covered, and when the C goes, the screen B will become the top again, right? So, for each screen, they will be added with extra lifecycle method, like when it is covered, when it is become top again, and when it exits, when it enters. You see, we can add the beautiful transitions, right, from right to left and from bottom to top, and we actually implement that too in my current project. The one problem is that you see we stack everything, so you might wonder what would that bloat? Yes, it actually will bloat, and we we managed to solve it with a sliding window, just like the native does. Okay, let's say the native app. Let's say this maximum 3. So when another screen comes, it becomes the maximum, right? Become 3 screens already. So now we can become another screen. Then the bottom one should be removed, right? Rather than remove, we should just remove the DOM, right? Remove the DOM. Okay, and then if this screen is gone, it will become 2, right? So the sleeping screen, as the screen which is recycled will become generated, will be constructed to the DOM, and the top one will be removed. So for the user, actually, user's memory is very short. You just remember the previous state, right? And I think for 1, 2, or more, 3 screens above that, it doesn't remember anymore. So it's okay just to restore the data, restore the every positions. It's okay to have some differences, but we need to keep the right one, the previous one right before it to be instant, right? To go back, we must make it instant. So this is my solution to make it go instant go back. So there will be some other challenges. Okay, the third one would be, I think, the images, right? For Instagram, it's all about photos, right? And we need to make the images as, how to say, like beautiful as possible and smooth as possible. Well, we could do, but this is just a typical improvement. First, we need to compress it as good as possible. We serve it is through a CDN. We could use gzip or broadly, and we should support the src set, source set, and to support different kind of devices, right? Yeah, another one is should be lazy load. Yeah, images should be lazy loaded. Recently, the Chrome has the native support for lazy load. Yeah, we should do this with dimension, and then we should have, rather than we have a a static color or like a loading spinner, we could make it fun, right? We could do like a fun skeleton, and maybe we could try some approaches about the blurry progressive. It would be like progressive JPEG, or we could do some rasterizing and create a blurry dummy one, and then when the image is loaded, we display that. So there will be some approaches to improve the image loading. Yeah, this is to avoid the flickering. Okay, here should be cache. Okay, cool. So the next one is about timeline, I think. Timeline. The problem would be it would be very long, right? It'd be a huge screen, and we clearly we don't need to render all the components, because users might not even go to that bottom, right? So this should be, we could do something as infinite scroll, right? We only load specific we should initialize the components with a specific height, like a viewport with some extra buffer, like 2 times the viewport height, and then everything out of that range could be removed. Yeah, infinite scroll, where we're loading and rendering as demanded. Or we could do naively, we just use pager, right? Maybe we can combine these together with infinite scroll, like for 100 posts, and then we could become the pager and ask the user to go to the next page, or combine them. The next one is because it's very long, right? When the user want to update, it's gonna be a problem, right? Yeah, when the user want to update, you need to scroll up to the top. And iOS has this beautiful feature that you tap the status bar. Actually, the scroll the browser will lead you to the top, right? So that's cool, but still, the user go to top and the user had to reload, right? That's reloads everything, right? To avoid reload everything, I think we just serve the user with a button to reload the timeline, right? Serve a button. Okay, reload button. Or just say pull to reload. Or even better, I think we should use service end event to notify users about the new updates. Well, this is the best approach, I think. When there's new posts, just show him a button, and then he can tap it, and the new timeline will be loaded, and it also will scroll to the right position. So yeah, this is how we help the user update posts. And the next one is data lag. Well, this is a problem because the timeline is very long, and the data the count of the comments, everything might be changed, might already changed while this user scrolls to that position, right? So I propose that we do data update within Viewport. This is something we are also trying in our current project, that we have a lot of the stocks. We need to update the prices. So we have a long page. We don't have the rights to update all the stocks, and so we just choose a specific area which is within our viewport. We can easily do this with waypoint, and we don't just update the prices within that viewport. Yeah. So for the timeline of Instagram, I think it's to be the same, right? When the user scroll to that position, we just to update the data, like count data of the specific of the viewport, right? With the post, for the posts which are within our viewport. Yeah. This is waypointing we're using. Cool. So yeah, so this is the key challenges that I want to address for this Instagram. One is making it speedy with lazy load. Lazy load is about everything, and then smooth. Okay, smoothness, it's about skeleton and page stack. Instant go back. And images, for Instagram, it's about images. And for timeline, right, it's very long. We could use some fantastic techniques to do it. So this is it. And I'd like to address that we are going to use a light version. So for something like infinite scroll, or we could just serve the user with a limited amount of data, and then ask the user to download the app for better experience, right? We need to do it softly without just terminate the process. So yeah, and okay, so that's the key challenges. And do you have some questions? Okay, so and at last I'd address that this is not the end of this picture. Okay, there will be some other to-dos I didn't cover in this explanation. But this first one is about the accessibility. To be honest, I don't have so much experience on this, but I think yeah, if we're targeting targeting users of different ages, so accessibility is a problem we need to address. And the second one is internationalization, multi-language support. Yeah, this actually could be easily done with a separate label management system, with our services bundling a key and the values could be handled by other translators and the management system, and we just pull the specific version and download it to our app. Another one is design system. Well, this is a topic like everybody is talking about. It's actually needs more effort from the designer side, not from the engineer side. And designers must have this conscious about creating uniform design guidelines rather than create different guidelines for different screen. We need to ask them to create components actually, and maybe just create the components and have the wireframe, and the engineers could just compose with the component, right? Compose the screens with the component. And the last one is about multi-team development. We are actually facing this problem. Different teams responsible for different parts, and no one knows the whole picture. Well, because we have a super huge project over 150k line of code of TypeScript, so no one knows the whole picture. And the different teams from different departments may have different coding styles. Well, we're having a hard time on this, and if you have more time, I'd like to say we need to totally separate the project, right, with the microfinance approach. Yeah, so this is the to-do. It's already 40 minutes, so yeah, that's all for this one. Thanks for listening. And do you have any question I can answer? Yeah, blah 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 blah. Okay, thank you so much. It's very nice talking to you. Bye bye.